This is how to make an accurate template to replicate a vintage axe handle. I'll be using this 34-inch octagonal felling handle that's been in my friend's family for almost 100 years. Now the key to this technique to get it really accurate is this tracing device that I built. So basically all this device does is it maintains a steady angle of your pencil and keeps the center of your graphite flush to the edge of the handle. Now obviously you could just hand trace with the pencil, but maintaining this angle is going to be a lot more difficult to get an accurate template. Now you need to choose your template material. You could use a lot of different things. I prefer 3/4 inch hickory. It's going to last for generations. It's harder to shape, which means it's harder to mess up. I'm running low on hickory, so I'm going to use incense cedar. So I'm going to start by using a wedge to make sure that the handle stays parallel to the material. If the handle isn't parallel to the board, the template will be slightly misshapen. And next I'm going to clamp the handle to the material. So I just added an extra clamp on each end, kind of like table legs, just to keep the workpiece stable. And now for the easy part. Now we can see that we've got quite a bit of material missing from the front of the tongue. And the back of the tongue is pretty worn down also. So I'm going to hand draw in new lines for the front and the back. And I'll give myself plenty of material to be able to shape that down to get the angle for the relation of the bit to the handle. So I'm going to go for 2.5 inches on the button, right at the shoulder. So just leave a couple little marks. Now the fawn's foot was cut right on this line, but there's nowhere to hit the fawn's foot with the hammer, so we're going to add some material. And up here on the tongue, we can see we have kind of a hard angle right here. So I'm gonna go ahead and add just a little bit through here. And I'm gonna make sure that I stay very clear of this line, because I really want to have enough material to be able to adjust the angle of the head to the handle. Now, before we go cutting these lines out, we really want to make sure that the dimensions of the lines are the same as the handle. Caliper is going to work best here. .35 millimeters. 35 millimeters. 35 millimeters. 35.5 millimeters. The line's a little thick right here. That's fine. Now, if it's not to your specs, make adjustments and retrace. There's no reason to half-ass it here. All right, we're ready to cut the template out. You could use a coping saw, a jigsaw, a scroll saw. You could even use a draw knife. I'm gonna use a bandsaw. Whatever you do, just make sure you don't cut over the line. All right, the template is rough cut. It's ready for finishing touches. This is a good time to slow down and focus on precision. If you sand too much, it's just gonna be a piece of firewood. Now for this, you could use a rasp, a spoke shave, a sanding block. I'm gonna use a 1x30 belt sander. This is simple, just sand right up to the line. I am using 80 grit, I'm out of 120. This is a little rough, but I'll take it slow and I'm just gonna knock down the excess right to that line. Now, I've checked my specs with the caliper. I am right where I want to be. We can see we're sanded right up to that pencil line, and it's pretty smooth. If I want to get it any smoother, I'll just use a sanding block, 120 grit, and I'll knock down some of those highs. That's totally doable. Now, I'm going to do a whole nother video on this, but here's something to keep in mind when you're doing this. We went so precise. This is an almost exact replica of the outline of the original handle. With that being said, when you go to trace this, if you trace and cut it again exact to these dimensions, you're going to lose a little bit when you go to shape the handle with your draw knife or whatever. So with that, excuse me. So with that, when you're tracing, especially around the grip, I like to add extra, like maybe use a Sharpie from here down. And then generally right in this midsection, I can get away with cutting right to the pencil on the blank, and I don't lose much here. But then getting back up into the shoulder, I lose a little bit. Okay, right in here when I'm shaping. So you'll want to add a little bit with your pin here. Now this is just a baseline. We can build a whole nother template off of this template, whether it is shortening this template, which is what I'll do. I'll shorten this down to 30 inches. We can add those spaces. You can start putting your personal touch on it. You can start changing it how you want, but this is a baseline. That's all this is. So, all right, until next time, guys, have a good day.